Hi, this is Khaliq-O-Vision again, and on the last video we learned a lot of different things. It was a very long video to just kind of give you an overview of what's going to be covered on the upcoming webinar this week. But you see there was a lot of stuff here talking about what constitutes a great mix. So it was an extended overview because I covered all this stuff here just to give you an overview, and then we talked about down here approaching the mix and the mix formula. Well, this one today is going to be much shorter. It'll be about approaching the mix, okay? And much shorter, as you see, much less there, much less concepts to deal with. And I'm not going to dig into them too much here right now. I'll give you a few nuggets and tidbits, but this is still a further overview to let you know what's going to be covered on the webinar. So you're going to want to sign up and register and attend that webinar. So first of all, approaching the mix. When you approach the mix, you want to approach it with a clear vision, okay? And what does that mean? Because that's kind of a nebulous term that could mean anything really to a lot of people. So what I'm going to do on the webinar is give you a few tips and tricks that I've used over the years that help me organize my thoughts and to formulate a way to make clarity, to gain clarity about what I'm trying to arrive at on this mix. What does the song speak to me? And you know, just a couple of little things, but it's important that you have a clear vision about what you're trying to do, okay? So I'll talk to you about a few things like that. We're going to talk about an organized setup and assessment. Now, an organized setup and assessment. The setup is obvious, okay, but I'll explain to you a couple of things. First of all, the way you get set up is very important, and I'll explain to you a couple of things based on me coming up. Like everybody's doing things in the computer now, and I came up on consoles working with tape machines and everything. So there's a specific reason why a certain order of things was done based on what was foundational from the past. Things that I learned from the people that came before me, I want to pass them on to you because I think they're very helpful. Even though we're in the computer, the same, if you go with the same organized approach, it can keep you really together and help you solve problems instantly, and you'll just stay organized much better, you know. And the assessment part of that is where you have to assess what's going on with the song so that you can make decisions about different things, you know, the instruments and what's going on with it, placements, things like that. That's what assessment means. So like I said, I'm not going to get into it right now because this is just meant to give you an overview of what we're going to talk about, but the assessment is going to be a very important factor on the webinar, okay? Foundation and creatives. Okay, once you've gotten organized and you've done your assessment, then you have to start building your foundation. This is where you start building up your house. Okay, so your house is going to need a strong foundation. You know, can't have no funny twigs trying to hold up this big structure. You know, you've got to have solid cement underneath and know why. And I'm going to show you how to look for that. And like I said, this is based on a lot of things that a lot of guys do. Hit makers right now today and hit makers of the past all use certain techniques to make sure and ensure that they have a strong foundation. And plus, the other thing that you might not realize is you need to know and recognize when your foundation is becoming shaky. You know, when it's getting when the bass is getting shook from as you build your song. Have you ever, I mean, I know you've done this before. You've probably started a mix many times and it starts out banging. You know, you usually start out with the drums and all that, get them banging, add some instruments in, you know, add some other things, but then at some point everything starts falling apart. It gets weak and muddy and unclear and murky and all that. So I'll show you some ways to avoid that during the webinar. We'll discuss a couple of concepts that are used that'll help you avoid that and get more consistent results, okay? And then we're going to talk about well, foundation, but then the creatives part, well, that's when you can use all the little stuff that comes in your mind that the song just talks to you and says, hey, add this here, do that, pop in a reverb here, delay there, phasers, flangers, do some cuts and mutes here in certain spots. Maybe you might want to move some parts around and things like that. Those are the creative things, and that's what a lot of engineers get heaped onto their shoulder many times to do and take over and put their creative part in it. So that's a fun part. I like parts like that when it gets like that. Okay, tweak and reference. When we get into the tweaking and reference part of it, there's a proper way to know how to tweak. Tweaking doesn't just mean blindly going ahead and moving some things up and down here and there. There's a whole reason, because everything affects everything else. And then the reference part is knowing how to ensure that your thing will translate. So those two are tied in together as you go on. You got to tweak and reference. And then the final master readiness, to ensure that after all the hard work that you've done, that once it leaves your hands and goes out to a mastering lab, or even if you do it yourself or whatever, no, it doesn't matter. Once it's done, as far as the actual mix, it has to be delivered to the public, and you want to ensure that they're going to get the same experience that you intended for them to have. So I'll show you a few things so that you can ensure that the mix maintains its integrity through the whole chain of events. Okay, and all these things are very interesting, very important, and very foundational. So like I said, this is just going to be a short video. I didn't want to make it too long, just kind of give you a quick overview and let you know. The webinar, the link to register for the webinar is right here on the page. So just go ahead and fill out the link if you haven't already. Register for the webinar. Make a note to yourself to attend, and you will get some email reminders and everything. So just be on the lookout for that, and plan some time and everything. Get your water and your sandwiches and all that ready, and I will see you guys. I'm looking forward to passing it on to you. Okay, I'll catch you later. This is Khaliq Glover, and I'm signing out.